Let me just test the audio. Can you guys hear me okay? For those that are watching on the different streams, just give me a thumbs up or a heck yeah or whatever you want to do. Tesla says my audio is a little low, but you can hear me. Hello, hello. I guess it is a little low. Let me just play around with that real quick. How's that? Is that much better? I need to test the whoopee cushion. Okay, that's better. Okay. Hey, Mark. Now, I don't know who's watching on Facebook because your names are not coming up, so I am sorry about that. Give me 1 second. There, that should be better. Oh, now it's just black screen. Okay. Let's get a screen going here, shall we? What are we gonna do? We need to go over here, and we need to do this. There we go. Hi, everybody. I hope everybody can see me okay. Let's go back to this. All right, lower now. Richard After Dark. Yes, it is Richard After Dark. Let's go through and say some hi to people here. We've got my good friend Jerry Knapp, 3DHP, is in the house tonight. We have a couple of Facebook users, and I'm not sure of their names because Restream's not giving me your name or your identity tonight, so I do apologize. Guy the Jedi, Teza, who else do we got here? We got Mark, Davey, and that's pretty much it, yeah. So Richard After Dark. Yeah, tonight's a kind of a different night for me. As many of you know, I lost a very good friend recently, and I wanted to kind of come on tonight to tell you kind of what's up, what's going to be happening here on the show. There's 3D Lab Tech's name. We're just going to turn that off real quick because we don't need that on. I have to do that over here. But I am going to be talking about 3D Lab Tech tonight as well. Hit the wrong button. There we go. All right. So I'm going to be talking about 3D Lab Tech tonight a little bit. I'm going to be talking about some of the stuff we have here from our good friends at LDO Motors. I want to talk about Fetus. I want to talk about a project that we've got going. I want you guys to ask me questions tonight. Good evening, Randy. Welcome. Randy D. Sermon? Sura Ann. I'm sorry, I have to look real close. Facebook user, thumb. Okay, you know what? I'm going to open up Facebook over here just so I can have a look and see who's commenting. And then I can go and deal with that. I can kind of, because I hate not being able to address people. That really bothers me. Maybe that's just me. I don't know if you guys feel the same way or not. I know I've got no music. It's the only thing I've got is sound in the back, and that's the Lulz bot. It's printing out some clips right now for a Voron printer, the panel clips. So let's go into Facebook here so I can see exactly what's going on there. So yeah, I'm wearing my no overcoat tonight. That's Sunday Ask for Help. That's when the doctor is in. But tonight it's just kind of a hangout. We're just gonna chat. We're gonna talk about some stuff here, and we'll go from there. So I think that's a good idea. I stopped using Facebook 8 years ago, Tessa says. I don't use Facebook very often. Well, that's not true. I use it every day, actually. And I have to use it every day. Partially because it's important for me to use it every day, because at the end of the day, it helps me to promote what's going on. But my laptop is slower than molasses in January, so it can be a bit of a pain in the butt. I need a new laptop, but that's neither here nor there at this stage of the game. That's not what we're here for tonight. Let me just get this all set up here so I can see what's going on. I can see who's in the chat over here. Okay, so there we go. Come on, open up. There we go. Man, I hate this. Derek Brown, there we go. Gu San Quan, big thumbs up. I haven't talked to Gu in a long time. Gu San Quan, for anybody that does not know, makes amazing models. And you can find them all the time over here on our Facebook page. He is an extraordinary modeler. He is a talent that is hard to beat. He makes models that fold. When I first saw his models, I guess now it's probably been 5 years since I started seeing them. Yeah, about 5 years when you first came onto the scene. And it was one of those. When I first saw your models, I thought these are cool because they were all print in place. And for anybody that doesn't know, Gu, please go ahead and put your link in the chat to your website, please. I would really appreciate that. Hey, there's Gary T. Welcome. There's Dave. Welcome, Dave. But at the end of the day, I still support everything that he does because he's an amazing artist. The stuff that he's been creating, the stuff that he's created and just given away for the hours of work that it's taken him to make a model. He's just given models away on his website to the community because that's just the kind of guy he is. That's going to open up for me, I hope. I may have to refresh. That's just the kind of guy he is. And it's important that we have people like Gu in our community, and we have people like Jason from LDO. You saw a little short, you may have seen a little short that I put up on YouTube today and on Facebook and Instagram and all those other places. I'm trying to get used to doing all this new social media stuff because it can really take its toll. That's for sure. But Goo has been a wonderful friend to the show. He supplied us with models on occasion, and again, he's just an amazing fellow. So I want to make sure that he is recognized. Derek Brown says, "I love the Lowell's bot. The audio is great. Great. I'm glad to hear it." Hi, Vince. Hey, there's 3D Medic Vince. I haven't seen 3D Medic Vince in a long time. So welcome back to the first layer, 3D Medic Vince. You know, I've got some really good friends in this hobby. I've met amazing people in this hobby, and I want to keep those relationships going. So, in honor of my friend, sorry. The new build is dedicated to him. We have people on the board to help us out. We've got these fine folks from LDO Motors. They've sent us over this Revo. This is a Revo Voron, and I'm going to open it up here on this camera up here. I'm going to switch to that camera now so that you guys can see it. Let's go to camera 2. Okay, so here we have the Revo heater core from E3D. This was sent to us again by our friends at LDO. This contains the heater core and 2 nozzles, a 0.4 and a 0.6 nozzle. Hey, there's Aaron F. Welcome. So inside, they have given us what looks like a bookmark, but it is very stiff and it's very heavy. I'm really digging this. This is kind of cool. I really like this. We're going to open that up in just a second. Then we have a nice little sticker from Jason. I think this is cool. This will go on the printer. All the companies that are helping me with this printer build right now, who are donating their products to go into this, I'm going to be putting their logos on this machine as part of it. And there we have a LDO sticker. We're going to keep that. We're going to hold on to that. So we'll put those off in a safe place. Now, here is the Revo. Now, inside we have, I originally thought the heatsink was going to be red. It is not. It is the LDO blue, which is just a very, very cool color. I really like it. It's I've never used the Revo, as I mentioned in my short today, but I think that the Revo, the technology that went into this Revo is very cool. I'm going to talk about some of that technology in a second. Then they've got a ceramic heater core on this as well, and it has a spring here which lines up with the bottom of your heatsink and just kind of snaps into place. Now what you do is you take your nozzle. In here we have 2 nozzles. We have a 0.4 nozzle, which is indicated by the red band, and these nozzles are actually quite cool. The way that they're designed is they're designed to prevent heat creep in these nozzles and up through the throat, which we get with traditional E3D V6s at times, and we get them with other types of hot ends. This is kind of a revolutionary design, and I think that this is going to work out well. When we're ready to, this is very cool, is you take the nozzle, you slide it in from the bottom, and you just screw it in. And when you screw it in and you get it to the point where it stops, that's where you stop. You don't have to go any tighter than that. It is in there. It is not going to leak. It's not going to cause you any heat creep issues into the heat sink up here. There's enough space in there for a good airflow to keep it from creeping up. You're not going to get clogs the way that this is designed. And when you put a PTFE liner, unlike other hot ends, the PTFE liner only goes down about that far, which is actually very cool. Let me see if I've got a little screwdriver here. Yeah, I do. It only goes down about that far. So it's very cool in that respect. I'm really looking forward to using this. Fetus is also sending out their hot end for this build. And their hot end is, they're sending out the Fetus X Voron high flow. So we'll have two different types of hot ends to put into this machine. And we are going to test them both on the machine. But I really like what E3D has done. They also included a 0.6 nozzle. These are all brass nozzles, so I'm not going to be running any kind of materials through them that are abrasive in any way, shape, or form. Let's take a look at what's going on over here. We have... I have a feeling you're going to like the Revo, Aaron F. says. Revos look fantastic, says Teza. I think I'm going to really like this as well. I will tell you that I inherited from Peter his Voron that we built early last January. He wanted me to have it, so it is here. So I have to do some repair on it to get it back up and running. But I am doing that. I'm going to rewire it and get it back up and running. Right now, my good friend Tim DeWitt 3D, DeWitt 3D Canada, if you haven't seen his stuff, you haven't visited his site yet, please go ahead and do so. He's actually printing out all the parts that I need for this new build. But I'm excited about using this Revo. Now, the other thing that, oh, wait, let me, before we go any further, we haven't opened this. Let's open this. Let's find out what this is, because I don't know what this is. Hey, there's Non-Fam. Hi, Non-Fam. Welcome, welcome. And there's Marcel. So, this, when I first saw this, when I opened the box yesterday, because this showed up late last night, when I first opened the box, I saw this and I thought, oh, they sent me a bookmark. Isn't that sweet? I do read books. But this bookmark, or what I think is a bookmark, is not a bookmark. I don't know if anybody else who's gotten stuff from LDO, have they gotten anything like this? But I want to thank Jason for this. Check this out. It actually slides out. This is a brass ruler. It says motorize your world, automate your dreams on the back, which is very cool. I don't know how well you guys can see that, how it's coming out on camera, but it's engraved on the back. This is a brass ruler. This is LDO on the front. It has both millimeters, centimeters, and inches. It's a nice 6-inch ruler. I don't want to use it because it is so nice. You guys tell me if I'm crazy. Should I put it to use? Should it go into my toolbox, or should it hang out on my desk for when I'm doing stuff like builds and measuring things? What do you guys think I should do with that? I think it's absolutely cool. It's got a nice little tassel on it. I'm blown away. And then he sent over this beautiful shirt, which I haven't taken out of the bag yet. So let's do that together. Oh, you're going to hear all the crunching of the plastic. I'm sorry. So this is a beautiful t-shirt. I'll just switch back to camera one. Let's go back to camera one. So they sent over this beautiful t-shirt. It is a double XL, which should fit my fat body. It's a Gildan, so I love the fact that it's got the motor on it, and it's a nice blue color. I look good in blue, I think. I should wear more blue. What do you guys think? I should wear more blue. But yeah, I think it's a pretty cool t-shirt, so I think I'll probably wear that on this Sunday's show. Thank you again to LDO for that. And then they sent over a hardware kit as well. So this has all the screws that I need to do this build. Go back to camera 2 here. So this has all the screws that I need for this build. It has brass inserts. It has everything that you need to put a Voron together in terms of the hardware pack. So again, thank you for that. And then finally, the thing that makes everything run, and that's the Voron 2.4 motor kit. Now this is the motor kit for the new Clockwork. It comes with these little tags that you can put on the wires, which is very cool. I haven't seen anybody do that before, but it does come with this little pancake motor that is for the stealth burner. So we are going to put a stealth burner on this build. Tim is printing out all those parts for me. I am going to have to get a clockwork or a kit, a gear kit for the extruder, a BMG gear kit. I have parts for a BMG gear kit, but I don't have all of them. I'm missing some things, and I don't want to be missing everything that I need. So what else do we have? That's neat. Use it for the build. I am going to use it for the build. Yes. Having worked with ceramic, I have always wondered why no one ever tried to make an inductive heater with it, Teza says. That's actually a very good point. I don't know why people haven't either. Already damaged my new mat. Oh well, that's life. I also want to thank 3D Lab Tech. I'm going to put their name back up on the screen. 3D Lab Tech is a local company here in Calgary. They are a supplier of Voron kits from LDO. They are a supplier of hot ends from a variety of different manufacturers. They have parts for your 3D printer builds. They carry filaments. They carry all kinds of cool stuff. And I'm really excited about that. And I'm excited to be working with a new local company. So the owner, Andy, over at 3D Lab Tech, again, it's just a little home-based business. He told me that to send him over a list of the motion system stuff that I needed, and I did. So he came up with the belts and all the pulleys and all of the shims and all of the bearings and even the rods. So I've got a complete motion kit from him, and I'm totally excited to be working with him. You're going to see a lot of 3D Lab Tech here on the show coming up, and I think 3D Lab Tech is going to be a company that you're going to see a lot of on our Facebook page, and that we're going to do a lot of things with in the very near future. Let's look what else we got. This actually I had to Robot Dig wouldn't or couldn't help us out with our linear rails, so I did order them. And in here we have all of our linear rails. Same as my first build, I did choose the black ones. I probably should have chosen to go with the silver ones. From what Andy tells me, they make a great rail, but the black ones seem to be a little crunchy. I didn't find that on my first build, but again, you never know what can happen. I mean, it can be a little bit different. Let's switch cameras back here again. So these are all the linear rails that I need for this build. And you can see there's an MG12, and then there's a number of 9s here that I'll be using for this build as well. And yeah, there's 6 9s, and then there's one MG12, which will all be for this build. And then I went back to Misumi for my metal again. Misumi will cut all of your aluminum to the right size. Masumi makes great products. I really like all their products. They do a great job of putting things together. These, I didn't have these tapped or drilled. I didn't send them over any of that. I mean, I could have had them do it, but I think it's a $40 or $45 upcharge, and I didn't want to kind of do that. I thought that this was the better way to go, because I have the proper size drill and I have a tap. And on my first build of this, I actually made myself a drilling guide. I 3D printed a drilling guide so I could get the holes in exactly the right spot. And I have a drill press. It's just a little mini desktop drill press. It's not a Dremel. It's an actual drill press that we'll bring here into the studio. It's in another room right now. And I will take you guys through step by step how to drill and tap these properly, so that you guys, if you're deciding to build a Voron and you're going to self-source like I've done here, for the most part, I've self-sourced everything other than what the companies have provided for me. I did that on my first build. Unfortunately, I had to sell my first build to pay off bills, as life would have it. 2022 was a horrible year for the first layer, not only in terms of content or lack thereof, but financially as well. This now I can afford to get a couple of things to help this build get started. Still missing a number of things. Still waiting for Big Tree Tech to give me an answer one way or another as to what they are going to be sending for this build. I did reach out to them for their Manta 8 board with the CB1, because I want to put as much upper level technology into this build as I can. So I'd like to have, the Revo is a really good hot end. We've got the high flow coming from Fadis. We're going to try that one out as well. We are going to be putting lights into the hot end as well, so we have all that in the stealth burner. We aren't going to put in a camera. I'm not going to go that far to putting in a camera, just because I don't think that putting in a camera is really worth the overall effort. Maybe I'm wrong. Right now, I don't think it's necessary. It's just something more that complicates it. We can add it later at any time. So maybe we'll do that later on. It's just not in my budget unless, somebody can send us a camera. It's just not in my personal budget right now. As much as I can get donated to this project, the better. But I do want to take you guys in our community through how to do this, because I think it's important that if we're in this 3D printing hobby, some people love the fact that the P1P now exists and that the carbon or the X1 carbon exists, and they're great printers. Don't get me wrong; they're amazing printers for the money. They do really well. They print at ridiculous speeds. Hey everyone, there's 3D Experiments. Welcome. They are printing at ridiculously high speeds, and they're printing amazing pieces at the end of the day. But there is that other section of us and people that, love to tinker and love to get their hands dirty and full of grease and that sort of thing. And that's what this build is all about. It's about getting your hands dirty and diving into parts of a 3D printer that you wouldn't normally. Everything from, the build itself to the software and getting it functioning. And that's all very important. Understanding that, I remember when I got into this 5 years ago, and Tim, you can not Tim, but Jerry, you can back me up on this. First, I need to say hi to Mika Steve. And Golden Jaguar, hello. There's another YouTuber. Golden Jaguar's in the house tonight. Just hopping in to say hi, he says. 3D Experiments is here. And yes, I think I got everybody. So I think this is important. 3D Jaguar, Golden Jaguar 3D, I'm sorry. I'm going to mess that up. Great guy. Very knowledgeable. I'm probably going to be leaning on him for a little bit of knowledge when it comes to the software aspect of this. I know Marlin pretty well, and most of you guys know that how when I got started in this, I built my first printer. It was a Hicktop 3D P08. What a piece of, I won't say that word because I don't want to get demonetized, but it was not the best printer on the market, let me just tell you that. A number of dollars went into it to get it to work properly. Once I did, that built me a Prusa clone, which worked much better. Then I built a Wilson 2, and that was all in my effort to learn how to use Marlin, how to use Arduino, and how to dive into the programming of it and understand what happens from the time that we slice that model to the time that it gets rebuilt on the build plate and all the things that can happen in between. And to me, that was a great learning experience. And dealing with Clipper and dealing with mainsail or fluid or any of those other ones, again, it's kind of that learning curve for me. Yes, I did it on my first build, but I didn't have my first build long enough to really play with it or have it around for a long period of time. And I did end up having to sell it. So this is kind of replacing that. At the end of all this, there will be two Vorons here in the studio, one 350. This is a 300 that we're building. And I'm going to fix the 350 and get it up and running so that we can have that available for doing 3D prints and testing other materials. I want to also thank Keene Village Plastics. They sent over 3 rolls of filament, 1 of their proper purple and 2 of their dark gray, which is going to be for all the printed parts on this build. It'll be a gray and purple build with a black frame. We have a local company who has cut the acrylic panels for this. That I've dealt with this company for many years, and they're a great company. They're called Plastic Works here in Calgary. Great company if you're in the Calgary area and you're looking for high quality products at a reasonable price. Please check out my friends over at Plastic Works here in Calgary. So this build is going to be where I take you through the nuts and bolts. We're going to tap and drill all of this. I'm going to show you what tap you need. I'm going to show you how to drill it all. And you don't need a drill press to do this. It does help, but you don't need one. And we'll talk about that when we get to that. We're going to start this build probably in a couple more weeks when we see if we get a few more things. We're still missing the control board. I do have one power supply. If I have to go with a separate board and separate Raspberry Pi, I will do that. I don't want to have to. So I'm crossing my fingers that Big Tree Tech, BQ's watching, crossing my fingers that you guys will come through for this build. But if not, it is what it is, right? So, wow, drill and tap hardcore. Yes, we are going to go very hardcore. Hey, there's Shooter 59. Welcome, Shooter 59. I don't think I've seen Shooter 59 in here before, so you are welcome, welcome, welcome. Everybody is welcome on our streams. And I don't normally do live streams during the week. I used to, and then I got away from it. I got very busy, but now I'm back. And, you know, this past couple of weeks with the illness of my friend, I still get choked up when I talk about him. But I knew it was coming. So I want to dedicate this to his memory. We're going to unveil this at Maker Faire in May. And then we're going to go head to head with the P1P. Tim and I are putting our booths together this year at Maker Faire, and we've been thinking about some fun things to do. I'm going to bring along the Maker Faire robots I printed last year and made. You guys may have seen one of them in a recent TikTok or a recent short that I did. But there are two of them. I'd like to build a couple more so that the kids can come by and see how 3D printing can be used in robotics. And then I want to also teach them how to use the simple auto robot builder software so that they can program one of the robots and just have a little bit of fun that way. I think it'll be a great learning experience for the kids. How many stepper drivers will be for this printer? There will be 7 stepper drivers, if I'm not mistaken. We have 4 motors, 1 in each corner. We have the A and B, that's 6. And then we have the one on the extruder, which is 7. So we will have 7 motors on this. We'll have 7 stepper drivers. I have reached out to Big Tree Tech or BQ, whichever they want to be called these days. I've dealt with them before. I've done reviews on their products in the past. They've always been a good company to work with. They're just a little slow getting back to you at times. But I have requested a Manta M8P board along with a CB1 board, daughter board to add on. The CB1 is the same as the CB4, which is a drop-in board that is really a Raspberry Pi without all of the extra peripherals on it. You just basically lock it onto the board and away you go. I do understand that the CB1 is a little bit different. It doesn't work quite the same way as the CB4 does. So, hey, there's Tim DeWitt. Hello, hello, hello. I was just talking about you. In a good way. DeWitt is another very good friend of mine. Again, we've become very close as well. So, with all of this being done and said, if they do come through with the board or the two boards, all the steppers, a 5-inch touchscreen, and their new EBB SB 2209 board that goes on the side of the which is a cam board. It goes on the side of the stealth burner where you plug all of your stuff in from the stealth burner, and it only uses one small four-pin cable to run from that down into the main board. It saves a lot of wiring. Definitely saves a lot of wiring because it has a 2209 or a 2240 stepper driver, depending on which board you choose. It's a CAN bus board, so it will you can plug the motor directly into it and save yourself a lot of headache and hassle and a lot of stuff to have to run down back through. Everybody's just saying hi to everybody else. So yeah, I think it's again, Tim over at DeWitt 3D Canada. He's printing all of the parts for me for this build, and because for whatever reason my Prusa decided to stop printing properly. It was printing beautifully, and then it just started pulling up the plastic off the bed, and it's not that it's not leveled correctly. It's not that there's not enough space for the offset. I think the nozzle is just worn out because I've used it so much over the last couple of years, and I need a new nozzle. And that's something that we're going to do a whole episode on, is maintenance. I think that's a really good idea, is to talk about the maintenance on our 3D printers. A lot of us kind of think, it's a 3D printer. What do you got to do maintenance on? Well, unfortunately, the reality is we do have to do maintenance on our 3D printers. And whether that be greasing things up a little bit or changing out nozzles every once in a while, especially when we do things for heavy use, I think that it's a good idea to do that, and I'm gonna do a whole episode on that. I'm sure you guys would like to see that. Tim says he's attempting to technical difficulties, but we'll figure it out. So he's probably still having problem with the stickiness of the Keene Village Plastics ABS. We talked about that the other day, where it was really tough for him to get it off the bed. But I'm sure I can go over and help him if I need to. I'm sure I can go over and help him if I need to. So, and then we've got stuff like this we want to talk about at the Maker Faire, and I'm going to be doing episodes on this. This is the Hero 7 version 2, Hero Me Gen 7 version 2. We're going to be talking about this. This is going to go on to the Ender 3 very soon, which is back here and has not been powered up since I put things back there. But we've got a lot of stuff on the table today, and LDO, 3D Lab Tech, Keene Village Plastics, who else? Fadus, DeWitt 3D. Thank you all for being able to help out with this build. I still need to find a 300 millimeter bed, along with a heater and the magnetics. That's another thing I have to kind of either source or get myself. I haven't decided how that's going to work yet. As far as the back panels go, they're not my highest priority, but I am looking into that. I came across a channel recently I want to talk to you guys about, and he may show up here in our chat tonight. I don't know. I've not set a time for this live stream. This can go on for hours. I am streaming to 3 different platforms tonight. I'm streaming to Facebook, Twitch, and to YouTube. So I wanted to make sure that everybody knew that you could find me on any of those platforms tonight. But I'm not as exciting as somebody like Loyal Moses. Loyal has an amazing setup over there. He's got some great sponsors, and he's doing some fun stuff. He's got lots of giveaways. So shout out to him and his lovely wife. They're doing an amazing thing for the community. But I came across recently a new channel, or not new, he's been around for a while. He's done a number of different builds. But he's called Build It Basement. And him and I were talking today on Facebook through Messenger a little bit. He's a new member to our community over on Facebook. He like me, said he could take or leave Facebook. But I built I built a community with the help of the great people that are in our community to build that Facebook group, and I want to expand on it, and I want people to keep posting over there and keep looking and helping people as they come in and are coming into this hobby for the first time maybe. But he has a lot of experience. If you have not seen his YouTube videos yet, please go check them out. He's a dad with some preteen kids, and he's building Vorons, and just like Tim is doing, he's building Vorons and rat rigs, and he's learning a lot of lessons along the way, and he's just got a really good channel, a lot of great information, and shows off a lot of really cool technology as well. So I really want you to go over, and if you haven't subbed to him, please go ahead. He's only at 1,000 subscribers right now, so he could also use your help and bump him up a little bit as well. Gary T, hey DeWitt. We have Dog Block YT. Hello. Please recap what I'm building. Okay, I'm building a Voron 300 2.4 R2 version. So we'll have the stealth burner. I am going to put on the clicky probe on this one. I'm not going to do the other probe that Tim just put onto his, and the name of that probe escapes me at the moment, but I will be putting a clicky probe on it. Because I never liked the inductive probe that was on my first build. And it currently is on the other Voron that is sitting here that needs repair. And I want to get rid of it. I want to put a clicky probe on that one as well. But this build here is the Voron 300 2.4V or R2. We've got our linear rails from Robot Dig. I'm just going to get rid of some of this stuff off my table. We've got our feet. We're still missing a few things. Like I said, we're missing the bed and we're missing the heater and some of the electronics. If I don't have to go with a separate power supply and separate, what do you call it there? A Raspberry Pi. I'm sorry, my brain is not fully functional. Well, that's no different than any other day. But if I don't have to go with separate ones of any of those, I'm going to be really, really happy. If our friends over at Big Tree Tech come through for us, we will be using the latest technology that they have in the Manta M8P, which means we will only need one power supply. And I've got a couple of Meanwell 350 watt power supplies around here, which will be more than enough for this build. And it's going to cut down on the amount of electronics and wiring that are in the base of the machine. I am going to try and get some higher quality panels, the bottom panel, back panel, that sort of thing. On my first one, I used a product called Alumilite, and what Alumilite is it's a panel of plastic that is sandwiched by two thin pieces of aluminum, and usually they're either painted or anodized in different colors. The ones that we had on my last build were white. I'm looking for another white set again for this build. We are going to put our logo in the back on the back panel. We also are going to do a dedication plaque on one of the doors. Tim and I were talking about that. I've got the laser. Tim's got some anodized aluminum. We're going to work together and do that. One of the things that I approached Tim about today over at DeWitt 3D was taking his P1P and putting it up against the Voron 2.4 in a number of challenges at this year's Maker Faire, just to have some fun and because our booths are going to be together, and the reason that they're going to be together in a 10 by 20 space is so that we can watch each other's booths when we're not in it, when the other is not in it. And because I'm going to be doing a lot of hosting duties this year, or Master of Ceremonies duties this year like I did last year. And I can tell you from last year's Maker Faire, even though there wasn't a tremendous amount of people that came through, both DeWitt 3D and myself were constantly busy talking to people. We were always talking to people. Andy from 3D Lab Tech, I was talking to him just recently, and he said, I wanted to come over and introduce myself. He said at Maker Faire, he says, but you were always talking to somebody. He said, and I didn't want to come in and interrupt, and I appreciate that. I have a tendency to ramble on. Hey, there's Ben Brady. Welcome, Ben. Welcome. Ben's another longtime member of our community as well. Again, there's people that have been around for a long time that are in this community, and that mean a lot to me. So, with that said, we want to do a number of challenges, printing challenges, comparing the two machines. It's one way for us to get more content out to you guys, have a little bit of fun, do some crazy and just silly, goofy stuff together. Tim and I have been talking about doing a couple of crossover episodes from time to time, and I think we're going to end up doing that. I'm sure that you guys would like to see that. Tim and I live literally 10 minutes away from each other in terms of a car ride. So we're both in the north end of Calgary, and our neighborhoods are very close. We're about 10 minutes away from one another, and Tim's got a great little printing business, a traditional printing business where he makes business cards and The banner behind me up on the wall, which I should have hung up a long time ago, is the banner that we use in our booth, and that was done by Tim. He took my old banner and just threw it out and did a brand new banner for me, and I really appreciate it, and did a really nice job. He even put a QR code on there, which is very cool. So yeah, kudos to Tim, that's for sure. Ben says he's practically agent. That's the cold side of Calgary, the north end. All of Calgary is the cold side of Calgary when it's winter. But you can't complain about the winter here. It's been actually absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. I want to ask you guys, what do you want to see the first layer do? I mean, I'm always open to suggestions about what you'd like me to do. I know this channel originally started out as a channel that was helping you get through those 3D printing problems. It's still the core of what I want this channel to be, but I also want to know what you guys would like to see me do. Would you like me to do more prints? Would you like me to do more full-blown projects? Like which is over there, like the camera jib that I'm making. Would you like to see robotics projects? Give me 1 second. Hold on. Let's just talk about this. Let me go get those things. There we go. I love this stool that Tim brought me. He had an extra one at his place. So this is the camera jib, or this is the base of the camera jib. The jib itself goes here. You can put a full-blown DSLR on one end, and then there's enough weight on the other. It will turn. It will go up and down like a crane. They're also known as a camera crane, which I'm sure some of you know that. But this is one of those projects that I want to finish on the show and walk you guys through how it was made and that kind of stuff. Projects, printer builds, tuning and calibration. I can think of some more stuff. It's all stuff that we do on this show, and if that's what you guys want to see, that's what we're going to continue to do. I need to print that jib for my wife, but I have so many orders to get out first. This is just something I'm printing in my spare time as I have the material to do it. I've got enough purple left to do the rest of the purple parts. The gray itself, I have enough gray, I believe, as well. The other guy, now I'm probably going to get demonetized for this, is this little guy right here. This is the second of two robots that I made for Maker Faire. This particular one is wireless. The other one needs to be powered via cable or a battery. This one has a rechargeable battery built into him. And let's just turn him on and you guys can see what he does. Now, if I get demonetized, it is what it is. You guys know I'm a Star Wars fan. And now he's going to do a little dance. And we'll turn him off. So, yes. So this is another thing that I want to take to the Maker Faire again this year and show off and just let the kids play with them, and we'll program them. The other one that I have needs to be tethered, so you can program them and do that sort of thing. So 3D Experiments is asking, what material am I using for the jib? I'm using Pro PLA for this jib. There are a couple of parts that need to be printed in PETG, but for the most part, all of this is all Pro PLA. So it's a higher quality PLA. This is made from 3D 870 resin. 3D 870 resin is, once it's annealed, And that means heat treating it. For those that don't know, once it's annealed, it will have the same properties or very similar properties to the strength of ABS. Do I need it on this camera jib? No, because the way that this is designed, it is one of those projects. This right here is very heavy. It is very, very heavy. So I want to finish this. The column can go, the center column can go up and down. It moves on a couple of bearings, so it moves really, really easily. So I could actually make it a little bit taller. The way that the feet are put on the bottom, it's with 2 screws on each foot. You could pull those out theoretically and actually add casters to this. So if you were an amateur filmmaker, you could literally make yourself a slide that this could go on, or a dolly as we call it in the industry. And you get dolly shots with that crane up and down and side to side, which I think will be really cool for certain shots. And I'm really looking forward to doing that. I'm very curious about annealing. Hope you will show that. Won't have to change the dimensions too much. As far as annealing goes, I've never done it. I've always talked about doing it. Funny as it is, I've always talked about doing annealing and actually showing you how to do it. And I think we're getting to that time where it's something that people want to know about. Plastics have changed since I got into 3D printing. When I got into 3D printing 7 years ago, plastics were basic. I mean, you had your basic PLA, you had your basic ABS, you had your basic PETG. There were not very many fancy higher end plastics. Like, you didn't have PEEK back then. You didn't have polycarbonates back then. If you did, they were very, very expensive. Carbon fiber was unheard of just 7 years ago. You could find wood, but colors were also something that was something you couldn't find a lot of either. So I decided that this was going to be, when I decided to stay in this hobby, I wanted to learn as much as I could. And plastics, again, have changed. We have different grades of PLA now. We have a regular grade PLA, which is great for stuff like this, for stuff like our robot. He's not done in anything special. It's just a regular. I believe that this is Econofill PLA from filaments.ca. All the motors in this thing, along with the Arduino, this costs less than $50 to make. I know that might seem like a lot of money to some people, but this was less than $50 to make, with the LEDs and the plastic and all the motors and the battery and everything else. It was less than $50. So I think that just tells you where you can go. And that, in contrast to this is Pro PLA, which is made from a higher quality resin, NatureWorks resin. This is the NGO 3D 870 resin, Pro PLA, and a lot of manufacturers use that as their base for their Pro PLA lines. Some use the one step down, which is the 850. And that can also, the 850 is considered the food grade version. So if you see somebody who's saying that it's food grade PLA, or that it's food grade PETG or something along that line, it's usually using, especially in the PLA, for instance, it's using 3D 850 resin, because 3D 850 is certified by the food industry, so it can be used for food storage and things like that. Worth it for the smiles on the grandkids' faces. You know, I'm not quite sure what that means. I'm sorry. But kids, you know, I find every year that I do something that involves kids, their faces light up. Just like Christmas morning. If you can remember when you were a kid and then running out of your bedroom to see all the gifts under the tree, That is the look I see on kids' faces when I go to a school, and I do that from time to time. I've actually been approached recently to teach a 2-day seminar to homeschool kids about 3D printing, and that's being worked out right now. I've attended different schools and talked about 3D printing and the benefits of it, and why it's important for parents to get into 3D printing. To me, 3D printing is like what computers were to myself in the 70s. There was a movement, the late 60s, early 70s, that said one day we will have, every home will have a computer. And they're not wrong about that. That prediction was not wrong. We have computers right here. This is the computer. I have a computer here. I've got a computer here. I've got a computer there and a computer over there. There's tons of computers in these rooms, or just in this room alone, that help to do a lot of the stuff that I do. But at the same time, I think 3D printers are going to be what computers were to my generation in the 70s. 3D printers are going to be that for this generation, the millennials and the kids that they're having. And I think that the more we learn and the more that we can pass on to our children, to other people's children about this type of technology, the smarter and more innovative the next generation will be. While Joseph Prusa didn't invent the 3D printer, he did take what was there and worked with it and improved upon it and modernized it, made it accessible to people like us to get into this. When I first got into this seemed like the old ham radio days. You know, it was a lot of equipment to buy and a lot of things that you had to kind of piece together to get it to work. But now it's not that way anymore. Materials have advanced in the last 7 years. Printers have advanced, and that is so much so, especially in the last year. We went from 8-bit boards to 16-bit boards to 32-bit boards. Next, I think we're going to see 64-bit boards come out. That is my prediction. We're going to move up to that same speed that we see in our modern desktop computers and in our laptops, that 64-bit architecture. I think that's going to be something that we see. I think at some point in time, we're going to see small form factor computers like a NUC, for instance. If you're not familiar with a NUC, it's a small desktop computer that's in a case that's no thicker than that. It's a little bit bigger than a Raspberry Pi in terms of its size, but even Raspberry Pis are becoming more and more advanced. I mean, now you can get them with 8 gigs of RAM, 16 gigs of RAM, I think, in some cases. So we are seeing the movement to we're going to see that movement, I think, to full-size processors or maybe even laptop-size processors in our 3D printing machines as we go forward. And that's something that may not happen tomorrow. It may not happen this year, but I think it's something that may be happening in the next 5 years. That somebody is going to come out with a 3D printer that at some point in time has all the bells and whistles. You're not going to need a separate computer to slice things. Everything will be right there on that printer. You'll turn it on. You'll grab your files from the hard drive that is in the printer itself, and you will be able to surf the net and download just like you can with some refrigerators now. You know, you're going to be able to do that with your 3D printers, I think, in the next 5 years. That's my prediction. And they're going to come with bigger screens, 7, 10, 12-inch screens that are going to make it easy for you to be able to do that. And it'll be touchscreen, so you won't need to have a keyboard interface of any kind. Around 40 CPUs, microcontrollers here is just in that room, let alone the phones, router, smart TVs, etc. Yeah, I got that same problem in this room. We've got a i7 8th gen over there. We've got an i7 3rd gen over there. This that we're using for our stream, which just handles the graphics really. That one is an old Dell workstation running a Xeon processor, and I think it has 8 or 16 gigs of RAM in it. Then we've got the ATEM Mini Pro, which is what does all of our switching of our cameras, and it actually sends our feed out to Restream or to YouTube or to Facebook or Twitch or wherever we want to send it individually or collectively. And it takes that load off of my computer now, so I can have. I don't need as high-end a computer to do just the graphics, which is really, really cool. Ben is saying it's most likely already there in the commercial space, and Tezza says the CPU on the Pico is very powerful. I've not played with the Pico. I'd like to play with the Pico. Are they not still using sort of cell phone architecture? I thought they were. Maybe I'm wrong. I think that they're still using cell phone, like the ARM Cortex processors, I believe. I could be wrong. I have a Xeon 8 core here, and I'm using it as my desktop. Hey, why not? I mean, so much of our electronics go into the landfill, unfortunately. And like her or hate her, I'm not a huge fan of hers, but Greta Thunberg, the young lady who stood up in front of the world and blamed my generation and generations before us for wrecking this earth, for her generation, I don't think she's completely wrong. But my generation, which is Generation X, I'm not a boomer. I was born the first year of Gen X, so I'm a Gen Xer. I just want to make that perfectly clear. Tim is a boomer. So if you got any boomer jokes, how dare you? 3D experiment. How dare you? Yeah, I think that we can leave this planet in a much better state than when we were brought into it. But I also believe that at the end of the day, all of this can be recycled at some point in time, and it doesn't have to sit in our landfills, and that's part of what I've tried to do here. That's why I'm not with the most current computer system and changing computer systems every year or 2 years. I mean, I've had that 8th gen for 4 years now. I had that 3rd gen since I was, and Ben Brady can actually attest to this. He might remember when I built that. I built that when I was doing Amazing Plastic, the Scale Model Show, and I was building plastic model kits and teaching people how to build plastic model kits. I love teaching. I don't know why I never became a teacher. I went into the entertainment business instead, but I love to teach. I love to take young minds, especially now, and open their eyes to the world of possibilities that are out there. I grew up in the generation of Star Wars and Star Trek and Buck Rogers on TV, Battlestar Galactica, the original series, Glenn A. Larson series from the 70s. And those shows showed me what the world could be, or what the future could be. And as I grew up, I could see these things coming. I mean, flip phones, the original Motorola flip phone was inspired by the communicator from Star Trek. And 3D printing was kind of inspired by replicators that we saw in Star Trek. So many shows now are using 3D printers as a MacGuffin or a thread in a storyline, where they're making things that they need because they're on a planet that doesn't have the necessary resources to make what they need to make, and a 3D printer makes it for them in minutes. While we're not there yet, I think we can get there. And as technology moves forward, I think we're going to see more technology in our 3D printers, less of what we have to do. They're going to become like the laptops of the world. You go into a store, you find the one that suits your purpose and suits your needs, you take it home, you plug it in, you throw in some plastic, Bob's your uncle, it spits out parts or something that's fully assembled. I think that's coming. I truly believe that's coming. And if we can keep the eyes of the young open to those possibilities and away from the video games that they all play, I think that our world will be in a much better state after I'm gone. Let's have a look at what's going over here. It says, I remember when you built that machine. It was a state-of-the-art back when you built. Yeah, that Generation 3 that I use as my daily driver now, that was state-of-the-art. And I had it in a much smaller package. I made it so it could be portable and I could take it with me if I needed to go on location. Because it had all of the cards in it that I needed to bring in my cameras. I just designed a little bracket to hold a cable tight against the wall and printed it out, and I gotta say, I'm pretty proud of myself. That's great. Up Robley like Dingus? I butchered that, but thanks for being here. Thanks for your comment. That's great. I wanted to 3D print dilithium crystals. 3D experiment says you can. Get yourself some clear transparent resin and get yourself a resin 3D printer and print all of the dilithium crystals and ISO chips that you wanted your print. Ben Brady says, I'm waiting for the molecular manipulation replicator. Well, when that comes along, do I get a new wife? I hope I get a new wife when that comes along. I really would like a new wife. No, I don't want a new wife. She's a great woman. Ben knows her. Tim knows her. She's a great woman. She bakes amazing cookies. Hey, there's Built-It Basement. Where's the Lowellsbot green? Where is the Lowellsbot green? It is right here. There is a roll of Lowellsbot green 3D Fuel Pro PLA right there. Right there. I love that stuff. I think that stuff's amazing. Actually, Tim at 3D, DeWitt 3D Canada, he actually gave me this roll. It was sitting on a shelf. And he said, yeah, I'm never going to use it. He says, you might as well take it home. So I took it home, and I was going to print some parts for the Lowellsbot here, some replacement parts, but I don't need to. But I am going to use it for something else very soon. I have kind of a project in mind that I want to use this on. And we'll talk about that at another time. But yeah, Built-It Basement, I was talking about him earlier for anybody that showed up to the show late today. He and I, like I said, we talked earlier today. He's kind of new, I guess, to the streaming and to YouTube. If you haven't yet, go over and follow him. Built-It Basement. I want you to put your link to your YouTube page in our chat today, please, if you wouldn't mind. Go over, give him a follow, or give him a sub. Hit that like button. Help him get more than 1,000 subscribers. He's been around now for a couple of years, building his Vorons and various other printers. We were talking today. I think he said he's working on his third Voron now, or his fourth. I can't remember which. Yeah, and I think that he's got a great little channel over there. He's got a great family. He tries to get into 3D printing, but I have a funny feeling that they're not overly jazzed about actually doing the work. They like the results, but I don't think they're jazzed about doing the work. And he can tell me if I'm wrong about that. But Printed a cloaking device, but then couldn't find it. Shooter 659 says, careful, LOL, at the first layer. Yep. No more cookies for me. Yeah, yeah. 3D Experiments just subbed. Good, good, good. You know my situation. Yes, I do. You know, it's good to connect with more like-minded people in our community. We have such a strong community on Facebook. We have such a strong following here on YouTube. I am now starting to build the following over on Twitch. You know, it's funny. I thought Twitch was just for gamers. I really did, and for young ladies that wanted big tips. But I'm discovering now there's a whole subculture on Twitch that is dedicated to making and 3D printing. And I just talked with Chris Perillo the other day on his stream. And I used to follow Chris Perillo. For anybody that doesn't know who Chris Perillo is, Chris Perillo goes way back to the days of Attack of the Show. The screensavers back before it was bought by Tech TV, and Chris Perillo knows his stuff in the industry of electronics and tech, and he's an avid 3D printer as well. You know, so I followed him for off and on for years, and then I just kind of stopped following him, and then I didn't see anything for his stuff for quite some time, and recently I was able to reconnect with him, and he's got a lot of things on the go right now, and he's a very interesting cat if you get to know him. He's got a lot going on. He's got a lot to say, and he's a Star Wars fan, so he's already good in my books. Good. I'm glad some of you guys are subbing over there to Build It Basement. We need to get him up as well. We need to get DeWitt 3D's numbers up as well. DeWitt's been at this for a while now too, and I want to help him over the next couple of months break that 2,000 subscriber barrier. Leo Laporte, yeah, Leo just retired. I heard that he just retired. He still is doing one show on his little network, Twitch TV, but he has recently retired. Twitch has exploded thanks to Chris Perillo and Loyal Moses. Yes. I just actually got onto Chris's maker stream where you can watch a 3D printer print, and that's all that you're going to see is probably 10 different screens on one screen of 3D printers just printing. I had my Lulzbot on there today, working with some clips that I'm doing, some of those folding clips for the Voron. Take panels off and on very easily. I find Twitch so trying. It's so ADHD, LOL. It can be. Yeah, I subscribe to people I know, and I don't watch any of the gaming stuff. I'm not a gamer. I've tried to get into gaming. I like some games, but I no longer own an Xbox. I don't have a Nintendo. I don't have any of the console games that are out there. I have one game on my day-to-day computer, and that is, believe it or not, World of Warships. That's the only game that I have on there, and I only get on there and play when I need to relax or I need to unwind. I don't typically get on there every day. I'm not on there for hours. It's just one of those things that I get on and play from time to time. Hey, there's Dominic Versetto. Welcome, welcome, my friend. He says, I don't use Twitch. It doesn't pay well with my equipment, or it doesn't play well with his equipment. I prefer Rumble over Twitch and even YouTube. I'm not familiar with Rumble, but I will check that out. I will check that out, definitely. PC gaming is very expensive hobby nowadays. Yes, it is. It is. I mean, with the graphics cards and all that stuff, I don't need it. I don't have time for it. I don't. My next door neighbor, a wonderful guy. Um, I've helped him with 3D printing and actually gave him one of the 3D printers I had here for his daughter. That I wasn't using. It was just sitting here collecting dust, so I gave it over to him, and him and his daughter, give him something to work with. But I think that where was I going with this? I lost my train of thought. Yeah, he's a big gamer, and I mean, I think he's got like a 4070 graphics card. That's more than I know about. I think in my day to day has a 1050 in it, and my editing computer, the one that I used to use for streaming, that has a 1660 in it. So I'm not using high-end graphics cards, and that thing, it has some kind of card in it. I don't know what it is. Builded Basement says, I haven't had more than 15 minutes at a time for gaming since we had our first kid 12 years ago. So I built an arcade so I could play Pac-Man and Donkey Kong. Two of my favorite games, as a matter of fact. Having kids that young, yeah, I can imagine, having preteens and your oldest is 12, right? If I'm not mistaken. And having preteens, that's a tough age, man. I sympathize with you. I really do. My wife and I, we used to love gaming together when we had our Xbox. When I had my first Xbox, we would play Soul Calibur a lot. And she would kick my butt every time. And I'm not ashamed to say that. My wife could kick my butt anytime. She's a big Mario Kart fan. She loves playing Mario Kart. And again, she kicks my butt at that game. I am no way a expert gamer. I'm not into a lot of these simulations, and I play it just for sheer enjoyment. But when my wife kicks my butt, she is and don't tell my wife this, but I think she's a poor winner because she's, I beat you. So, I play the sore loser lots, and I don't want to play anymore. But it's fun. It's great fun. Now, we find movies that we love together, and that's kind of our together hobby, is we find movies that we love to watch, and we have very similar but yet very different tastes. Being somebody who has worked in this industry, like I worked in radio, as a lot of you know, worked behind the scenes in television, and worked behind the scenes in movies, things like that. I love film. I love movies. There's a very different categories there, from films to movies, but a movie to me is something you can sit down, grab a bag of popcorn, watch it, and go on a thrill ride, and I love it. Like watching the Marvel movies, for instance. Being a comic book fan as I am, it's fun to watch those movies, but I also like to watch the classics. I love The Maltese Falcon. Always one of my favorite movies. I like anything with Philip Marlowe, any of the old Philip Marlowe detective movies. I love those. I love the old Flash Gordon serials. I love all of that kind of stuff. I love the process of filmmaking. I love the process of doing this. Just, talking with you guys and being able to share my passion, and the mistakes that I've made with you, so you don't have to make mistakes that I made. That's part of what this channel has always been about. I only last about 10 minutes on those games. Says Build It Basement, 3D Experiment, nice, Build It Basement. My wife and I love having date nights at a local burger bar arcade. Classic arcade games are great fun. Yes, I agree with that. Robin Hood, Errol Flynn, yeah, I love all those old ones. I think those are amazing. To me, the movies that were made in the 30s and the 40s and even into the 50s, it was a different time for telling stories, and I'm still fascinated by them. If it's black and white, I love it. I love those old black and white movies. My wife hates them. She won't watch black and white movies with me. The original The Day the Earth Stood Still, still one of my favorite movies. Um, I like musicals as well. I'll admit it. I like musicals. I like old Disney films. I think some of those are great. We live in such a time now where the stuff that we loved innocently as children and young adults um, is so offensive to different um, ethnic ethnicities that and to and I don't want to get political, but it's offensive to all different walks of people for whatever reason. If you just sit down and you just watch those films and just enjoy them for what they are. I mean, they're finding problems with The Wizard of Oz. I mean, yeah, they weren't as politically correct as they could have been, but it was a different time. And we live in a time now where we're so much into what we do as a society, but yet, and this is what I find very ironic, yet we don't talk to our neighbors. And everybody just seems so angry all the time. And I hate the world that we live in some days, but I look at it with optimism, and I think that, you know, there'll be a generation that's going to up and come, and they're going to take all of this technology, the 3D printing, and they're going to improve on it, and we're going to go past places like Mars, and we're going to go to the edges of our solar system. Humans will do that, and it all starts with imagination. And if we can take that those young families and those young people today and spark that imagination, whether it be through drawing. I can remember as a kid, I drew all the time, and I got actually quite good at it. Nowadays, I've let those skills go. But I used to draw comic books all the time. My own comic books. I actually drew comic books for a local newspaper in my hometown at one point. But you know, it was that imagination looking through the Sunday funnies. And some of you guys are going to laugh at me for using that term, but I'm not old. I'm 58 years old. Coming up on, what is it? We're in 2023. Yeah, so I'm going to be 28 this April. So or not. I'm not going to be 28. I'm going to be 58 this April. And my wife is going to be 59 this year, believe it or not. But yeah, political correctness has killed sociability. I agree with that 100%. 100%. I love, like I said, I love the classics. I think Dominic says he enjoys opera more than musicals. I like opera too. I will sit through an opera. I have no problem. Dagwood, Popeye, I love those guys. I used to in the old comic strips we had Dagwood, Popeye, Andy Capp, who I would love to see come back, but again, Andy Capp is not politically correct. You know, they used to have Yogi Bear comics. They used to have before the Family Circus even. or Circle, Family Circus or Circle. I can't remember which it is, but I think that sometimes when we Beetle Bailey, yeah, there's another one. I remember Beetle Bailey a lot. Dominic says he was starting high school when I was born. I was born in 1965, so if you were starting high school in 65, you have my respect, my friend. You have my respect. Hagar the Horrible, yes, that's another one. Absolutely love those comics, and I would take those comics and I would sit at the table and I would try and redraw those comics, draw those characters, Yogi Bear, the Peanuts, all those characters. I would draw with a crayon or a pencil on a piece of paper or a napkin or whatever I could get my hands on. If it was a flat surface that I could draw on, I would draw on it. Dominic says he was born in the 50s. Teza says born in 1953. Pogo, we didn't get up here. I remember I had made something in school as a young lad, and it looked like a mouse, and my mother called it Topo Gigio. And I didn't know who Topo Gigio was when she told me, but she did educate me on that and told me who Topo Gigio was, this little cartoon mouse, who was a puppet, I believe, on either the Howdy Doody show or one of the other morning shows, kids' morning shows. Some of you guys might remember. Oh no, Boomer's coming out, 1959. See, in 1965, that's when it changed to Gen X. So I'm a Gen Xer. My wife was born in 64, so she's a Boomer. Not that, I care about those labels at all, but if you look at me, you'd think I was a Boomer. Based on my gray hair, and it's actually quite long. I need a haircut badly, but I told my wife I'm going to grow it out. I'm going to look like a hippie for a while, like I did back in the day. He was a puppet on the Ed Sullivan Show, Dominic says. Okay, Topo Gigio was a puppet on the Ed Sullivan Show. Okay. 1952, Marcel. Great. That's awesome. We'll accept you into this club. Thank you very much. But yeah, I think that, at the end of the day, we are living in a world where, and I know this is not a typical First Layers show, but we're living in a world where we have such opportunities to teach our next generation. If we could just get them away from the video games, get them outside, playing with the kids next door, playing with the kids down the street, playing kick the can, hide and go seek, all that kind of stuff. Playing hockey in the street in front of your house as a kid, road hockey. I mean, these are all memories I have as a child. Memories going to see Star Wars for the first time. I recall now this is what I recall, but I know I went to see movies earlier in this. Recall the first movie that I saw in a movie house was That Darn Cat from Disney. My mother took me to see that movie, and I absolutely loved it. And that was the first time I'd seen a movie in a theater that I recall. Seeing the 1966 Batman when it came out, or not the year that it came out, but in the 70s at my local theater Saturday matinee. I never dreamed that we would have 3D printers and the technology that we have today. Seeing Star Trek on television in the 70s, watching Batman in the 70s and all the cool gadgets, and a lot of that stuff we have today. I mean, we have 3D printers, we have replicators, we can replicate nearly anything we want, from camera jibs to covers for our remote control to parts for building 3D printers. I mean, amazing stuff. We have all of that at our fingertips now. We have computers to help us with the design of the things that we want to make. And the more I talk about it, the more passionate I get about it, because I think that this is not a hobby just for guys my age or older. I think this is a hobby for the whole family. And it's something that you can take and you can create amazing things that will last you for generations. Here's a piece here, and some of you haven't seen this, some of you have. Just grab these. Some of you guys that have been on the stream have seen these before. This is the Princess Leia. I still have to finish painting, but you know, like these are all 3D printed. Do you think you could have found those on the shelf as a collectible? Probably not. They're probably available now, but when I printed these off, they weren't commercially available. They still need some work, but I hand painted these. These were not airbrushed. These were all hand painted. And I do have an airbrush, so I do airbrush, but and I will show you guys how to do that at some point in time in the near future as well. Tessa says she blames the console for killing play. Yeah. During COVID-19, I let my hair and beard grow for a year just to see how long it would get. Social media has had its benefits, but I think it's done a lot of damage, Shooter says. I agree. Social media can be a great thing. Social media can bring thoughts and ideas together, but it can also tear down societies. This whole idea of wokeness, should we be sensitive to our neighbors? Absolutely. I think we need to be. As Ben will tell you, I am not a man of God. I don't believe. I'm an atheist. I grew up Catholic. I was an altar boy. I went through that whole indoctrination. But I've also seen so much in my lifetime that I am not a believer. I don't have that faith. And I don't begrudge anybody that does. I think if you have faith, that is a wonderful thing. And keep that faith and stay strong. But I also think that politics, religion are a good catalyst for a lot of things that are wrong in the world. And if you watch the news today, it doesn't matter what channel you watch or if you get your news online or wherever, they're all using it to their advantage to disadvantage somebody else. I don't care what color this is. I don't care what color your skin is. I don't care what color eyes you have. I don't care what your ethnic background is. I don't care what your religious or political affiliations are. I care about what's in here and what's up here. If you can't see past the ugly in the world, and I'm not saying physically ugly, if you can't see past, or for lack of a better word, the evils of the world, then you're going to be stuck. And I think that if we find something like 3D printing to pull us out and find communities of like-minded people, we open our minds. Again, it all goes back to that imagination I talked about earlier. Having that imagination opens up so many doors for you personally. When we stop looking at our neighbors being from another country or another ethnic background or this or that, and we just take time to get to know them, we can find ourselves having a lot more tolerance. And then we go back to something that's very frustrating, like 3D printing can be. especially if you've attacked it from the angles like I have, where I've built my own 3D printers. Um, you can, I think that you can take what we learn in society, apply it to this, apply what we learn here, overcoming those problems, and apply it to our society. We'd be in a much, much better place. Overall, I think we'd be in a much better place overall. You guys might think I'm crazy, but poor Leia, I can only imagine what Jabba was doing to her. Oh yeah, I've got to finish her eyes, and I've got to do all the gold on her bikini and stuff. Um, Ben says we still love you, Richard. M3 at me3 at the first layer. My grandson says Twitter is good for getting into arguments with people who don't know and you'll never meet. Dominic, you're not wrong about that. I think social media has given everybody a voice, and I don't deny anybody having a voice. I just think that social media has also allowed common sense to go out the window. 3D Experiment says, arguing with somebody on the internet is like wrestling a pig. All you get is dirty and the pig likes it. Yeah, you're right about that. Everybody has the right to be wrong. You're right. They do. You're right. Golden Jaguar 3D says, that's why I love this community. All you fellows are fantastic people. I can't say enough good things about the people I've met through 3D printing. There's been a couple of duds, sure, but overall they haven't prevented me from doing what I love doing, and I love teaching people how to get into this hobby, how to work through the problems in this hobby. And there's new problems all the time. Some are old problems. Some people still have problems leveling their bed, getting good first layers, and that's why I named my channel The First Layer, because I was having so many problems getting a good first layer when I started that all I ever heard at the beginning was the first layer is your foundation to your prints, and you have to have a good first layer, and that's why I decided to call my show The First Layer, and why I decided to build the community around the first layer, because everything, whether we look at 3D printing or we look at friendships or we look at relationships with anybody, that first layer is the foundation for where you're going to end up in that relationship or in that hobby or with that print, or there's so many things I could reference there. Let me see what hey, who you calling a dud? There are some real nuts out there, LOL, and they're very active on Twitter. Yeah, there are, but you know what? The beauty of it is that everybody has the right to be heard, whether they're right or wrong. Factually, they have the right to be heard. I don't like to talk about politics too much, but I will say this, that there's a real problem politically, in my view as a Canadian, in the U.S. right now. I'm not a Republican. I'm not a Democrat. I'm in Canada. We have the Progressive Conservative Party. We have the NDP. We have the Liberals, and a handful of ones that nobody remembers. My mother was a card-carrying NDP, and at home where I'm from, they have a kind of a different philosophy. But out here in Alberta, they have a completely whacked out idea of some things that I just think are crazy. I don't follow politics Canadian-wise very much, because they never really affect me to a certain degree. Economics certainly is. Inflation is certainly affecting me, and as it is everybody else around the world. But I think in the U.S. and my U.S. viewers here can probably attest to this, that there's a real problem politically in the U.S. And whether you like or dislike Donald Trump for his politics, for his successes, for lack of a better term, or you don't. I mean, the fact of the matter is, from a guy looking in from the outside, he messed up that country pretty good. Um, I hate to say it, but that is my feeling. He did mess up the country pretty good. And I don't watch Fox. I do tune into the Fox broadcast once in a while because we get them here in Canada. I listen to kind of every little bit. So NBC, CBS, ABC, Fox, Newsmax, CNN. I kind of get a little bit from everybody, and I make up my own mind. And based on everything that I've seen, um, it is, I feel sorry for you, whether you're Democrat or Republican. I do feel sorry for what you guys are going through right now in the U.S. There's such turmoil there. There's things that they're doing in the House of Representatives that make absolutely no sense to me whatsoever. Why would you waste taxpayer dollars on something that is meaningless? Do something for the people. Do something for the people that elected you. Don't just take that paycheck. And unfortunately, too many people in politics just take that paycheck. Trudeau, I'm going to leave it right now there. Yeah, Trudeau, you're right. I've been alive long enough to know the reign of Trudeau Sr., Pierre Elliott Trudeau. So I was around for that. And I can always remember, my mother not being a huge fan of Mr. Pierre Elliott. But, she was an NDP. She was not a liberal. So, but she was also a nurse too, and that played a big role in it. In the U.S., partisan politics has become a dangerous religion. Ah, that is a great way of putting it. Yeah. Here in the U.S., politics is a religion. I watch it for the entertainment only, can't take any rhetoric seriously. Yeah, I agree with that 100%. There's so much, there's so much influence in politics to the church or from the church, or it's being used as an excuse to do things that they want to do, in my mind. And as much as I hate to say it like that, it unfortunately is the way that I see it. I would never move to the U.S. Not right now. My mother wanted to move us there as a kid, and I thank my lucky stars that she never did. Because if I was living there now, I don't know if I would want to move back to Canada. If voting actually made a difference, it would be illegal. Yeah, I think that it depends who you listen to. I think voting is a good thing, and everybody's voice should be heard. It's what people do after they're elected that has to change. That's just my opinion. It doesn't matter what country you're from. I think once those people get into power, they have to change. George Santos, great example of this. And anybody who's a Republican or a Democrat that is in my audience right now could agree that George Santos has no business being anywhere on the Hill. Period. Teza says, yep, absolutely. I was also brought up Catholic and not much interest in current religions. I have no interest in religion whatsoever. I think it's, like I said earlier, I think it's great that you have faith, and everybody needs a little faith in something. Um, I think that the good book is just that. It's a book. Like any book that I have on my shelf here that I could read a tale. Where they started pulling it into morality, if you sit down and really read that book from cover to cover, you will see there it's very different than what we're led to believe in sermon. Good night, Shooter. It's been a blast. Before the news informed you now, they want to they want a tank for you. I'm not sure. Tessa says Bible equals Lord of the Rings. Okay. 3D Experiments says Santos is getting the media attention, but there's dozens of politicians who are bad or worse. Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. He's getting the attention because he got caught. I'm independent. I don't care for either party. Night, Shooter. Oh my God, DeWitt says, I'm such an idiot. What did you do? Tell me what you did, DeWitt. I'd never join a club that would have me as a member. Well, you're part of this club, 3D Experiments. And I don't, it's funny because I don't consider this a club. I consider the First Layer channel, the First Layer Facebook group, the First Layer Twitter and Instagram a family. Everybody in here is a part of my family. And it will always be that way because I learn from you, and I hope that at times you can learn from me. But I'm learning every day from the people. Build It Basement, Golden Jaguar 3D. I'm learning from you guys. I'm learning from DeWitt what not to do and cut myself. No, I'm kidding. DeWitt is Tim is a very, very close and dear friend of mine. He says, been pumping 24 volts into my 5-volt LEDs and wondered why they're not working. Burned out 2 sets, LOL. Dominic says, I'm an anarchist. That might be a saner option these days. Yep. Ouch. We did ask you to triple check the voltage, Tessa is saying. Yes, we did. We are family. I got all my hot ends in me. Yep, I like that. And now we're going to get demonetized. Things will be broken. Oh, hey, there's the Poor Boy channel. There's another channel I want you guys to check out. Go check that one out, too. Yep, DeWitt's up to his old tricks again. He's burning things out. But that's okay. Jaguar 3D. Golden Jaguar 3D. Let's talk about his channel for a second. And Golden Jaguar, please go ahead and put your link to your channel in the chat tonight, please. If you guys haven't seen his channel, he's fun. He's a lot of fun. I watch him. His better half or other half, depending on your point of view or his point of view, is off screen teasing him lots of the time. We were all teasing him the other day. We were watching him do his Batman build, his Batman themed 3D printer build, and he was running some tests. And the table that he had it on is a card table, and I've got one sitting over there. It's very similar to the one that I built the Lulzbot sidekick on. Very rickety. They're not meant for building and running fast 3D printers on, because you will damage the table. or have your printer end up on the floor. Take it from somebody who's done it. So I offered to design him a inexpensive table that he can build just like the one that I built here, which is super strong. And it's just some 4x4s, a couple of 2x6s, and a tabletop. And that's it. That's all it was. Wasn't very expensive at all. And I offered to design him a table for doing those types of things that he could go ahead and build himself and put some wheels on it if he needed to. But yeah, Golden Jaguar, go check him out. Golden Jaguar here on YouTube, and put a link to your channel, please, in the chat. I really appreciate that if you did that. Let's have a look here. DeWitt says Golden Jaguar is a guy that I could hang with if we were closer. Seems like he's got a great heart. I agree with that 100%. He laughs at himself. He laughs at everything, at the situations around him, and he's inspired me to kind of stop taking myself so seriously sometimes. Hey Marcel, okay man, you have yourself a good night, and have one for me. Teza says, I already remember over there. Awesome. Yeah, we've been going now for 2 hours. Yeah, I didn't expect to be going this long, but I really wanted to cover tonight the people that have helped us out with this build that we're going to be doing here on the show. I'm going to be doing some videos. I'm going to be doing a lot of it live stream through the week, like this. So first and foremost, we have to start with drilling and tapping all of the aluminum. I'm going to show you guys how to do that in a couple of weeks. Then we're going to start building things up. Like I said, Tim over at DeWitt 3D is doing up all of the printed parts that I need, because they have to be printed in ABS, and unfortunately I got to make some changes here in order for me to be able to do that. So we all, Golden Jaguar, DeWitt 3D, we all need to stream together. I agree. I think that's a great idea. The Poor Boy channel, yeah, put a link to your channel in here tonight as well. Richard, YouTube doesn't allow you to post links into the chat unless you are a moderator. Oh, dang, I'm sorry. We do have some moderators here, though. DeWitt's a moderator. So he should be able to put links in. There we go. Golden Jaguar, yeah, man. It's Irie. So I had to throw that in there. I don't know why. I am as far away from being Jamaican as you will ever get. But tonight we are Irie, man. We're just going to hang back, do nothing, relax, talk about some 3D printing. Did I do that well? The Poor Boy channel, thank you. I sub to you as well. There we go. Yeah, you guys are all, if we support each other, we have a much bigger and stronger community in the end. There's some great guys out there. I mean, there's some big guys out there. We're the little fish in the pond, but not too bad on the accent. Thank you. I do a great Scottish accent as well. I got a wee bit of problems over here, and I'll go and get my kilt and my bagpipes later. Gary T, I'm not even in the pond yet. Gary, you are in the pond. You are part of this pond. Gary T, for anybody that doesn't know, is local to me here in Calgary as well. I met Gary. I met him either through the 3D Printing Club here in Calgary, or when I was at Spool 3D. I can't remember which came first. One of those two came first. But Gary's a great guy. He's a very quiet guy. If you ever meet him in person, he's a very quiet guy. And he's great to hang out with. We're going to try and put together another meetup here in Calgary for anybody that is local to the area. You know, if you're around the Calgary area, just outside or whatever, DeWitt, myself, and maybe we can get a couple of other 3D printing guys to come out and have a meetup. And I'd like to do a live stream for that. So I'll bring some gear and we'll live stream that meetup, and you'll get to meet some of the people in our community here locally, and ask them questions hopefully, and just hang out with us on a live stream. Poor boy, I'm a big fish in my own mind, just not trying to make too big a splash. Yeah, I think I'm a big fish in my own mind too, but I want to thank, before I wrap this up tonight, I want to thank DeWitt 3D. Tim has been a great friend, and I hope to keep that friendship going for as long as possible. Great guy. Gary T, another great guy in our community. Ben Brady, Golden Jaguar, who I've just recently met. Great people. But I want to thank DeWitt 3D for helping me with the Voron, and you know, helping guide me in the right direction for things that I should put in to make this. It's not going to be as big as Build It Basements. I mean, I'm not going to have all that current technology. I would love to. I'd love to have that magnetic bed without the actual floppy magnet. I would love to have, you know, some of the other aspects to it, but I really want to build this thing in the best way possible and take it against that dang P1P. I love the P1P and I love the X1 Carbon, but at this time they're just a little out of my budget. And I have reached out to both those companies. Don't get me wrong. I've reached out to them, but or I reached out to those guys to ask them to, even if I could just get one for review, I would be happy. But I will tell you that DeWitt 3D, thank you for guiding me through. Golden Jaguar, thank you for all your information on this. Build It Basement, thank you for your videos. I've been watching them almost religiously now. I started with your first 2.4 build series videos, and now I'm on to your 2.4 R2 videos. I want to thank Jason from LDO. I contacted Jason about getting a complete kit. Unfortunately, because a couple of things going on there. One, they've got a ton of requests from YouTubers and content creators to get their products for free. And, you know, companies pay money for the stuff that they have to give away for free. So I understand that when somebody says no to you because they don't know if they're going to get a return on their investment. And I get that. But he didn't close the door, which was very helpful when I decided to start doing this. So LDO, Jason from LDO, thank you again. I want to thank 3D Lab Tech here in Calgary. Andy, great guy. And I think he's going to go a long way. He's going to build a very popular business here in Calgary. He ships to Canada and to the US, and I think he ships overseas if need be. But he has a great lineup of stuff. He's still building out his inventory, and he's adding things all the time. So make sure you check those guys out. Fetus E3D, their hot ends. I can't say enough good things about E3D especially. I've been using E3D hot ends for a long time, so I'm very stoked about using this new Revo. Hopefully Big Tree Tech, if you guys are listening or watching, I hope that you guys can come through. We still need a build plate. We still need a flex plate to go on that build plate. And we still need electronics for this. So those are the things that we majorly need at this point to finish this build or get this build moving in the right direction. We've got pretty much everything else. Again, thank you to everybody that tunes into my show and supports us with your super chats and supports us with your just watching our episodes. Helps tremendously. Super chats go a long way to helping us do stuff like this, so I don't have to take it out of my daily budget or my monthly budget and try and find out how I'm going to pay the bills. But YouTube gives us a little bit of money. They don't give us a lot of money, but they give us a little bit of money, and we're building that back up again. And I've got a long way to go to clean up the memberships and clean up the Patreon page. Yes, we have a Patreon page. I haven't done anything there in so very long, and I keep wanting to, and I haven't, and I have to find the time to do that. I do work a part-time job as well. I work for filaments.ca. They are not sponsoring any of this build in particular, but maybe they will other builds. I hope. Let's see what we got going on. Crafty by Jazzy. What's up? How are you? How am I? I'm doing good. As well as can be expected, I guess. Health-wise, I'm fine. Just going through some emotions the last few days, that's all. Teza says, saying the Voron would be a build for me if I could afford the kits. Poor boy says, build it like me, just one piece at a time, you'll get there. And that's, it's funny that you say that, poor boy. Because that's what I did on my first one, as I could afford to, I would order a little bit here, I would order a little bit there, I'd put some money away so I could get some of the more expensive things that I needed. But I self-sourced the whole thing based on the sourcing guide on the Voron website. I knew what I needed based on the BOM or the bill of materials for the size of 3D printer I wanted. This time, I started to reach out because I'll be perfectly honest with you, I don't have the budget to buy everything myself. Otherwise, this would be a really, really long build. I want to have this build done in time for Maker Faire, which is in May. It's on May 13th and 14th. So I've got March and April, and that's it. I got 2 months to have all the parts and get this thing built, tested, and up and running. So if you guys are wanting to help out with this build in any way, shape, or form, you have something that you want to contribute to it, just hit me up over in private message or send me an email to richard@thefirstlayer.com, or you can message me over on Facebook. But the best way, I guess, for now is to just use Super Chat when we do a live stream. And I will be back on Sunday to do Ask for Help. And Ask for Help is a show where I help you with 3D printing problems that you may have, whether that be hardware, software, or materials. I do my best to answer all of your questions. And that's one way that I give back to the community each and every week. Great stream tonight. Thank you very much. Do I need a hot end? No, I actually have two of them. I have the Revo Voron and the other one is coming. The Fadus X Voron High Flow is on its way. It'll be here on Tuesday. Fadus sent that one out, so I want to thank them as well. I paid for the rails. I paid for the aluminum. I have a couple of other people that are chipping in as well. So everybody that helps out, we do appreciate it. This is a build for you guys as much as it is for the First Layer, and it is dedicated to the memory of Peter Reynolds. So with that said, I will see you guys all on Sunday at 2 p.m. Mountain Standard Time right here on the First Layer. So until I see you guys then. How do I turn this off? Bye, guys. Have a good night.